You get the first question because I haven't seen anything better than those gold shoes here. With who?
How's it feel to be back on campus?
But, I think Culver has such great accommodations. I think the only comment I got is that the walk is a little shorter, but in terms of Culver and the accommodations and the practice situation, it's pretty good. But I think the routine here is going to be very comfortable for our guys. But business as usual on the field, so not much different from that perspective.
Coach, you guys have so many different pass catchers at various positions. How is that all going to get organized and as we get further into camp and all that?
That's what we're working on right now. There's no. I think the only guy that we know of that has got a ticket on the train right now, if that's even a bad analogy, that's EQ. Everything else is pretty fluid. We're trying to mix and match, and we think we got a lot of really solid players. We're just trying to take advantage of what they can do and their skill set and where we think it would best help our football team. So, we've moved guys from X to Z and W, and really it's just a rotation for us right now. Nothing really set other than really Equanimous will play the W position. That I can tell you for sure. Outside of that, we're still rolling guys in and out.
That doesn't even include the tight ends.
Right, and again, we're playing them all, and we see a lot of value in all of them being on the field. I think the latest guy that's entered into the mix there is Cole Kmet. He's had a strong 2 or 3 days. Now it's just knowledge of the offense and how quickly they can pick things up. But they're all very, very capable of helping on the offensive set.
Brian, do you want Jay Hayes to have the same kind of position flexibility that you had with Rochelle? Is that your intent?
No.
Sliding inside maybe on pass downs?
No. We would like him to. He would be more of if we had to do that. Isaac was somebody that we felt comfortable sliding him in passing situations, but we see Jay as that strong 5 for us, and we really want to keep him in that position.
When you evaluated Jerry Tillery in the offseason after 2 years basically as a starter, specifically what did you feel like he needed to improve upon in order to be the kind of player you need?
Shock, destroy, physicalness. He obviously had the ability to move well, had some athleticism, but he didn't have that suddenness, that explosive strength that he could be in a shade and split that combination where that center couldn't block him if that guard wanted to come off quickly. And he's really, I think the biggest difference in Jerry is his strength and his ability to get off the ball. And so when now you add that quickness that he had and that ability to move, now we've added that strength component. Now he can get on that tip and physically make it a difficult match for a center.
And staying on the defensive line theme, the 2 Hayeses, Tillery, Bonner, Trombetti, those would be your top 5, I would assume. Is there a number 6? Has somebody emerged, or a number 7?
Yeah, I would say that Khalid Kareem has done a really nice job at the defensive end position. I would say he'd be the next. Micah Treadway inside, and then the 2 freshmen, Myron and Kurt Heinisch.
And Kareem is behind Jay Hayes?
Yes. Yeah.
Your overall, what are the conversations like with Jerry since last year, this year? What are you seeing from him that you like, some things that he needs to work on? What are those conversations been like?
Well, they've been constant since January. Awareness, starts with awareness, aware of, how how he presents himself, the decisions that he makes, the accountability piece. Sounds a lot like maturity, growing up, being much more mature. But I think at the end, what we're looking for is a young man that is aware of how he handles himself and who he represents. And I think he's done a really good job of taking responsibility on a day-to-day basis. Along the way, developing his football skills as well, maturity, football skills, and I think he's made a lot of progress there.
Ryan, how does the right offensive tackle picture look like today?
Well, I think Tommy's still in there as the starter, but I think I think we still have a guy that is progressing every day. He's a young player. He's not a finished product at all, but he's explosive, big, strong player that we know we're going to get ready. But we've got Robert Hainsey who can shoot over there and play. We're trying to keep Liam, on the left side if we can, and settle him into a position. Robert becomes kind of our guy that, if we need to get into the game, he's got a really good pass set. If he has a strength, he's a really good pass setter for us. So, Tommy right now is the guy that goes with the first group, and like 6, 7, 8 practices into it, he's making progress, but he's still work in progress for us.
It was mentioned how deep you are wide receiver, I think 11. How deep can you realistically have your rotation? And if it's 6 or 7, is there a chance that you would look at any of those guys on defense?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know that there's any one guy that jumps out at us that shouts defense to us right now. We would be pressing a guy, over there right now, and it's too late in the game to start doing that. So we really just want to find, too deep in a swing, and we've got some guys that have got experience, certainly with Miles has got experience, and Fink's got experience. C.J. Sanders has got some experience. So we've got some guys that have experience, and we're still just trying to give everybody a chance. The thing that has made it even more interesting is the 2 freshmen have said, don't forget about us, and which is great. Jafar has done a great job, and Michael. So, throw them in the mix with the 2 transfers, and now you've got 4 new players competing for playing time with some guys that, like Chase Claypool and Javon McKinley, who are like, hey, this is my job. So it's a great thing to have a lot of competition, but in another week, it's going to have to start sorting itself out.
And with Alizé, were your suspicions correct that it was pretty mild at any timetable when he can?
He was running around today. Yeah, he was. We have him. We're going to be careful with him, but he was moving around today.
Brandon, with Josh Adams established and Tony Jones ascending, how do you maximize Dexter Williams?
Well, he's a very good runner of the football. I think, we were actually having this conversation yesterday, Autry and I, is that, when they all run the ball, they each have a different style, and you could be very pleased with all 3 of them running the football. But in some of the other areas, they tend to separate themselves. Tony Jones is an extraordinary player when it comes to catching the football. That's a real strength of his. Josh is a slasher that when he gets in the second level is very difficult to defend. And then Dexter has got that first step in the hole that none of them have. So, each one of them has a different secondary trait other than running the football. And so they'll all get a chance because we're going to need 3 backs. You can't really get by a season with 2. So I think what we know is what their weaknesses are, and we keep working on each one of their weaknesses.
Brian, talked to Mike McGlinchey and Quentin Nelson. They both kind of echoed that they wanted to be better this year as a unit in obvious pass and obvious run situations. What have you seen from the group, especially the first group?
Really good communication. I mean, they help Brandon a lot, with pressures and calling out protections. And, this year we probably link in a little bit more to their calls than trumping their calls. My system of offense always had the quarterback as the, the final trump on all of those. But we're kind of tuned into the center and letting him have the first shot at it. And unless something is showing that we're absolutely 100% certain, we're going to go with a veteran group up front to slide those protections. So that's a little bit different than maybe what we've done in the past there.
On the right and bars moving inside, it seems like it could be one of your more, maybe not your most, but your more physical lines. Have you seen that in the padded practices?
Yeah, it's a physical group. We were pretty physical today. Today was a 4th down drill, which is all attitude, right? You don't want to be on 4th down in situations too many times on either side of the ball. So it's about attitude, and you could see that coming out today. That's a group that can exert their will. It's a big physical offensive line.
We had talked earlier in the fall about Julian Love possibly some kind of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still on the table?
Yeah, he'll play some safety. Yeah, he'll play. He'll play back there in certain situations. 3rd down, maybe some different packages that we're putting together. So we've had some cross training with Julian at the safety position.
You still consider him the starter at safety opposite Nick, or
No.
is Dante kind of taking that role?
Say that at corner?
Yeah.
No, he's a starting corner right now. Julian's a starting corner.
But you're still cross-training in certain specific...
Yes, your original question was, is he cross-training a safety? And the answer is yes. But he is the starting corner.
How is with Nick especially, it seems that he's been the one constant since the spring
Yep.
as far as just the stability there. Has that remained the case?
It has. Yeah, he's done a really nice job. Consistency. He's a guy that Mike has a great deal of trust in, Mike Elko, in terms of where he puts him and what he wants him to do within our defensive structure. Has a great deal of confidence in what he's doing and how he's performing for us.
And do you have any update on Nick Coleman as far as how much reps he's able to take now?
He took all the team reps today.
Any other updates injury-wise? Is it pretty much barely?
Let's see, what do we have? In terms of guys that were out of practice, we had Dante Vaughn was out today with a sprained neck. We were running a tackling circuit yesterday where we used the big pads that you jump on, and he missed the pad. And he fell on his neck. And he's fine. But those are the kind of injuries you get in camp. So he's fine. He's up and moving, and he was running, but he was in a non-contact situation today. So that's as severe as it's gotten in camp. We had a non-contact neck injury.
Brian, are you
Pretty good stuff.
Brian, more generally, are you pleased with what you've accomplished so far in the last 8 days, and kind of what's next for you guys moving forward?
Well, we're building. There's no question that it is a consistent message as to what I want accomplished. They're hearing it every single day. I just went over another story that I saw in the New York Post about Jordan Spieth, and he doesn't hit it as far as some of the guys on the tour. his accuracy with irons is middle of the pack. He's a streaky putter, but he's closing in on the career grand slam at 24. So how does he do it, right? Well, he doesn't do it with talent. He does it with grit. He does it with the intangibles. He does it with. I said they wrote this article for me, guys. And they laughed because they knew what I was talking about. It's all of those things that we're building with our football team, they're really kind of coming together and understanding how important those are to our success. It's not about the talent. Yeah, you have to have good players. I get that. We have to recruit good players. But Jordan Spieth is a good player, but he's not closing in on the career grand slam because he outdrives everybody and he puts it within 3 feet. He's got grit, he's got resilience, he's got laser focus, he's got all the things that I've been talking about, and that's really the point. So in answering your question, they're really starting to understand that as it relates to how they play football now. They kind of understood it when they were in the weight room and how it related to the discipline in and out of the classroom and in the community. Now they're starting to see how that translates to the football field.
Brian, you've had a lot of football teams you've coached over the years, 27 I think, but I assume you go in and you think that you have an idea of what a team's going to do, heading into this season. How do you judge that? And do you have any, thoughts about this particular team?
Yeah. Well, look, no one, really professes to be an expert in any of this, right? Y'all here don't say that you're experts, but you're learned, right? Because you've been around the game a long time, right? You watch football, and there's still basic tenets of the game, right? And you don't give up the big play, keep the ball in front of you, run the football, don't turn it over. If you see a lot of that in practice, if your offense is way ahead of your defense all the time in practice, that's a scary place to be as a head coach. And so for the first time in several years, our defense is a little bit ahead of our offense. It's a good feeling to have. So you kind of go into, your camp and you observe things like the basic tenets of football. And like I said, there's no crystal ball, but you stick to a plan, and if you stick with it, that those things should come together when they're needed.
Last year, did you feel, going into last year that you weren't quite sure that maybe this would be a kind of a down year?
I knew that we needed to get off to a good start. I knew that we needed confidence. That's not the case with this group. We don't need confidence. They just need to go play, and they need to play, with the traits that we've been talking about in mind. They don't need confidence. They're confident. They know what they need to do. Last year's group, and a lot of it was the things that I didn't do leading up, to the first game. The pieces that weren't in place, it was production over process, required them to be successful for it to build itself.
Brian, will either circumstances or their skill sets allow Robertson or Jen Markeith to get in the mix?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're trying to get a clearer evaluation on Gen Markeith. He's had a mild hamstring that has limited his teamwork. He was cleared today. I'll give you a better indication of that. Isaiah is, the swing guy right now. He would see some limited action. Still learning. Going to be a really good player for us. But we want to see Gen Markeith. We want to see him, and it's going to take us another week to really make that full evaluation until he's, like today was his first day that we got him in there.
Coach, when you look at the bunt position and how you look at your schedule, 1 week you're playing a spread team, the next week it's pro style, then triple option.
Yeah.
That position's going to be stretched in a lot of different weeks. If you look at Greer, he's kind of played all over for you guys. How has his past experience kind of playing different spots helped him adapt to the bunt position?
Well, I think that when we recruited him, we recruited somebody that was very bright as a football player. We thought he had really good instincts. And he was a Mike linebacker, so we didn't think he was quite big enough, but we knew he had the ability that maybe we could move him around, and that's kind of been the case. The same thing is happening right now, is that, you know, he's a guy that, you know, is playing the will position, but he's a guy that, again, from our perspective, you know, has versatility. I don't know that we'll cross-train him as much as maybe Tavon, who's a little thicker. You know, Tavon will probably be the guy this year that we cross-train at Will and Mike a little bit more. But Greer has always been that guy that can pick up a couple of positions. We've got some versatility in that linebacking crew with Tavon and Greer that can play a couple of positions.
Obviously, in the past, you had started with Mike as a freshman. You played some of that Will. You've moved him outside against different matchups. When I watched that position for Coach Elko in the past, it's you have to do a lot of those things, and he seems to have kind of adapted to that versatility. Does he have the? I mean, does he have the skill set to say, okay, one snap he's coming up off the edge, the next snap he's got to get up underneath the dig route, the next snap he's got to, you know, crash the A gap. Does he have that skill set to kind of thrive in all those different roles?
He's proven to adapt well to what Mike's doing defensively. You know, I think the way that we're going defensively right now, I think we've been really smart in taking advantage of both him and Tavon in all the roles that you just mentioned, and kind of mix and matching what they can do in all of those. I think both of those guys together handle all of those responsibilities, and maybe one a little bit better than the other.